Thank you for watching EVH Gear Discussion. Brought to you in part by VanHalenStore.com. Please be sure to subscribe.
Hi, this is Glenn Mazzari, and you're watching EVH Gear Discussion with Eric Broadbent.
Hi guys, welcome to an EVH Gear Discussion live update. My name is Eric Broadbent, and I hope everyone's enjoying their fine weekend. Today's topic of discussion is going to be Van Halen a year ago today. I look back, a retrospect of August 7th, 2015. I was able to catch Van Halen at the Molson Amphitheatre in Toronto. Fantastic venue to see Van Halen, and I actually had the pleasure of shooting some photos for Live Nation. So I was in the pit right up front for the first three songs for Van Halen, and some of you have seen some of the photos on my wall here. My posters I've got printed, so it's kind of nice to have posters of stuff I've shot there. Fantastic night for sure. So I'm going to go over some of that night with you, show you some of the photos here on the slideshow, talk about that a little bit. I've got some questions written down here as well that I'm going to go over with you. Just questions and comments, people that I've put on various mediums, Facebook and YouTube, and people are starting to jump in now. Bill Camporis, hello Bill, thank you for joining the chat. Nice to have you watching as well. So before I go into the slideshow, I'm just going to read a few comments that have come through and questions, because I really want to acknowledge the people that take their time to do this, to thank me for what I do and even just watch. It'd be really, really cool. Before I get into the comments, actually, the two big shout outs I want to do are very important, because I got to acknowledge true talent where it's due. I was just talking a few moments ago with my friend Philip McKnight, and he's just recently surpassed 40,000 subscribers on his YouTube page. So Phil, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. That's an incredible milestone, and it's just climbing. Ever since he announced that, it's still climbing, rapidly. So he's on his way to a silver play button at 100,000. You get that in probably no time at all at your rate. Way to go, buddy. And you've been a real inspiration to me as well for my channel. So I like to watch your stuff a lot. And there's some videos I've missed of yours. There's two recent ones on the Stripe series and things like that I got to catch up on. So that's going to be watched right after this. Another huge shout out to my buddy, brother from another mother over in UK, Charlie Stinchcombe, Liquid Charlie, my guitarist Liquid Charlie. He just surpassed 25,000 Instagram followers. Charlie, phenomenal. We're going to be doing a hangout very soon, the two of us, and catching up. We haven't done one for a while. So let's go into the comments. First one I've got here from YouTube is from Austin Jones. Austin says, "Man, I am truly blown away on how good you are, and I think you have the best Van Halen technique and playing ability. All very good, man. Keep it up." Okay, first of all, thank you very much. I don't believe I have the best Van Halen technique by any means. Obviously, I'm inspired by him tremendously, as you can tell by looking around the room here. And it's funny, I mentioned back to him, I said, I only practice like these days because I work 2 full-time gigs. I've mentioned that a lot. I don't have time to practice. I really don't practice that much. So whenever I do these little live impromptu broadcasts like this, or the one-off videos here and there, that is the only time I actually really practice. So I'm going to actually play today for a couple minutes, nothing really planned, and that's going to be a practice for me as well. So I'm practicing in front of you, so don't go too hard on me. But thank you, Austin. That was very nice of you to say. Another comment on YouTube as well from Edward Dudzinski. He says, "Hey Eric, you have inspired me to pick up a new old stock Japanese Wolfgang special. Fantastic. Great. It is awesome. I have a couple of Ernie Ball Music Man EVH models, and it was going to sell one to get a USA EVH Wolfgang, but I can't bring myself to part with them. It is hard getting rid of stuff. Try not to if you can help it. May sell a few strats to get the USA Wolfgang version eventually. Love the Japanese special. The only problem is the pickup selector toggle is missing the nut to hold it from slipping into the cavity. Where would be the best place to find a replacement online? P.S. Love your channel. Got a 5150 350 watt since I stumbled across your channel. Keep up the awesome work." My suggestions to you, Edward, would be either Stuart McDonald, Stu Mac online, or maybe All Parts. And if not that, I would think even eBay, because it's pretty much a standard thread, I believe. But I would try those two sources first. And if not, if all else fails, you can't find the exact one, I would say possibly even contact Fender customer service and tell them what you're looking for, and I'm sure they would be able to help you out with that as well. Hopefully one of those 3 or 4 options will work. couple of the people jumping on. John Mrhonic, I pronounced the name wrong, I'm sorry. John, thanks for joining, John. And Michael Smith, as always. Hey, Michael, nice to have you on board, and thank you for sharing my content. I'm going to jump into another comment here as well. This came through YouTube, says from Kenny Bear. Nice. I like when we get to see videos of the behind-the-scenes stuff, Eric. Thank you for all you share and do. Kenny is referring to a video I posted the other day. I haven't really done one of those. You only get to see certain angles here in my studio. It's not because I'm trying to hide stuff from you. Well, sometimes I have a mess. I don't want you to see the mess. But, the webcam, for instance, or my other cameras I use only have so much of an angle. And I want to be able to give you the best kind of the behind the scenes look, so you get to see what's behind the scenes of some of my extracurricular things, like my other hobbies and stuff like that, like the Walking Dead stuff back there and Breaking Bad and all the guitar magazines and posters, you name it. So so he liked that one and got some good feedback on that one. Look on my channel here. It's one of the videos posted a day ago, whatever, yesterday I think, and shot with a GoPro. So the quality is not 100%, but hey, it's fun. Okay, got a big long comment here from Super Junior 1030, who's also known as, we know him as David Allen Wright. And this was in regards to the conversation we had in the live hangout the other night. David Nesdahl and all those guys. We were talking about Variacs. Someone had asked us about if we'd ever used a Variac. And just before I go further with it, you guys that are watching right now, can you hear me okay? Is everything sounding good? Just someone comment, say if my voice is okay, if it sounds all right. And I'll get back to that. So Dave says, I use Variacs on my Marshall Plexi, PV5150 1 and 2 versions. But read this on Fender 5150 amps. Howard Kaplan states regarding use of a Variac on the Fender 100 watt, the 100 watt Stealth, the 50 watt Fender 6L6 based EVH series amps. Not a good idea, as these amps have digital logic in them, run on regulated supplies, and if you drop below the 10% line voltage, 108 volts for 120 volt amp, spec requirement, the regulators may come out of the regulation, which could cause issues in the logic, which controls the channel switching. I know the thought here is to get the brown sound. Most of this sound is actually due to the lowering of the filament voltage to the power amp tubes. This creates a different sound from the power tubes that was the essence of the sound. The lower filament voltage is built into all the Fender, but basically I won't say all of them again, all those Fender ones, the Fender-based EVH series amps. Also, by lowering the AC voltage, you will be lowering the B+ voltages, which can create unpredictable results and will also lower the output power available. So this is obviously, it's a very, very detailed explanation, but David always has the most detailed information. 6CA7 or the EL34 tube use in Fender. I think there again, all those ones we just talked about. The Fender EVH series amps. I posted this before. Do not try this. Number one, power tube. I think that's what he means. PT power tube cannot handle the addition filament current. Number two, screen resistors are not correct for this tube. And number three, suppressor grid connection missing. The power tube may overheat and open its thermal breaker. If this happens, you have a brick. No, hopefully that's what he means by PT is power tube. No, power transformer. That would be power transformer. Yes, that makes sense. Power transformer may overheat and open its thermal breaker. If this happens, you have a brick. So in other words, don't try this at home. And John, thanks for the comment that the mic sounded good. That's good. I just want to make sure you can hear me good. And then he also asked me in another comment, David did just earlier this afternoon. He says, hey, Eric, are you running the sound through the sound card of the PC or through the mic? I need a good setup to get everything good sounding system with the PC. Okay, and that's all the questions I had. So David, to answer your question on that one, I'm running a Mac here, but regardless of Mac or PC, I have the same setup that you're seeing me with right now on a PC, on a laptop. If I'm at a hotel or something and I want to do a broadcast, I can mimic my setup over there. But I'm running just a small, cheap Behringer mixer. I'm not a fan of Behringer overall. It's more affordable stuff than industry standard stuff, but it does get the purpose done. It's just like an 8-channel, 4 XLR input board. What you're hearing me speak right now, I'm running the Blue Yeti mic that I'm pointing to here. That's a USB mic going directly into my Mac. What you've probably seen me do in the past before is I've had some audio-video sync issues where, it'd be, hello, and then the voice would start, like that kind of thing. So I've had to adjust that a little bit. And a couple days ago, or even actually just yesterday, since I've remodeled my office here and I took the computers apart and everything, and then put everything back together, my kind of buffer I had at the time that worked for me before at around 500 milliseconds to get everything in sync wasn't working. So I'm down to 400 milliseconds now, and that gets a nice consistent audio video sync. Same thing with the input from my guitar. I think I showed you in the behind the scenes video, it's hard to see back there. I've got the EVH 5150, 5153 412 cabinet, and I'm miking that with a PVM45i mic, which is equivalent or better to than a Shure SM57. I prefer it better than that microphone. I'm running that into the board, and I'll give you an example here. I'll just turn up the board for a second. You're going to hear a little bit of hiss. Okay, so that's just miking my cabinet back there. So I'm going to do a little bit of guitar playing in a minute. But what I'm doing here is with my broadcasting software, it's kind of a complicated setup, and one of these days I'm going to do a piece-by-piece breakdown on it. But it lets me do the nice creative intros and things like that. And, just go through all kinds of extra things that you can't normally do in a live YouTube broadcast or Facebook Live for that matter. I can adapt the same thing to that as well. So, David, I'll go over some of the setup with you, maybe even a hangout one night. We'll talk about some stuff that we don't normally talk about, and that could maybe be this. I'm just going to jump over to Facebook momentarily because I see a bunch of things lighting up over here. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Let me see here. One moment. Okay. Great with you. Okay, all right, nothing I've missed there. That's addressing this anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna digress here for a moment. I'm going to make sure my guitar mic is muted. There we go. It's probably taken away some of that hiss. I got a little slideshow queued up here, and it's just basically the Van Halen show at Molson Amphitheatre in Toronto 1 year ago today. Phenomenal show, and it was my son Eric Jr.'s first introduction to Van Halen. So that was very cool for me. As a father, and of a child who's becoming a musician himself, it was a real cool bonding moment with him as well, and he just loved it. He was almost hoarse; he couldn't speak at the end of the night, from screaming, and he knew the songs. It was pretty awesome. It was like watching me as a little kid. So I'm going to show you some of the photos, and I believe I can still talk over them. So let's jump over to the photos and see how they look. And guys, in the over in the comments in the chat there, just let me know if you see the photos and if they're looking okay, because this is the first time for me doing this. So you're my guinea pigs, or I'm your guinea pig, however. So let's have a look at the slideshow. All right, so there we have Edward himself. These were shot right from the pit. I was 5 feet away from Eddie. It was a magical night. I'll never forget it. The tone, the band was just on fire. It was a very, very nice night too. It was probably very similar today in Canada right now. It's probably around, I'm going to say in the mid 80s right now. Humidity is very, very low. It was like that this evening. So it was so much the same as what it is today. So a year ago today, beautiful, beautiful shot there of the amphitheater, right on the lake. Just very nice. I can't say enough about this show. And it was so funny being there. I had 2 camera bodies, and I was shooting with, but they're both Nikon bodies. I had a 50mm lens, and I had an 18-35. The 18-35 is what I use for a lot of my videos here. When you see me doing my professional videos, I do not the webcam ones, but the professional. Beautiful. I wish I had the lens that I have today for that show. I have a really nice Sigma 70-200. I know this is probably boring for some of the people who don't know cameras and things like that, but just to give you an idea, the 70-200 I could have got a lot tighter shots. Now my second body, I was shooting back and forth, as fast as I could. My main camera, the Nikon D7200, got me some of the best shots. And as for some of the photos that are displaying here, I'm just going to talk about some of the comments here as well too. Jaden James 104 says, what's up everyone? Wes Sullivan saw them there in 95. It was a great sounding concert, was filmed for Much Music. Yes, Wes, I was there as well too. And actually I'm seen a couple times in that video, which is no consequence. It was just kind of neat. That was the pay-per-view. That was one of the best shows ever. And I think probably my second favorite live solo of Eddie's ever. I think my first one is the Live Without a Net performance. Phenomenal solo. And then obviously the Balance pay-per-view as well. So yeah, they're very, very cool. John Moronic, I wish I could pronounce your name. I'm sorry. It's probably something simple. I'm saying it wrong, but John, looking good. Thank you. Sinner, hey Sinner, it's great to see you as always. He says, hello, I have a Fender Mustang 4212, IV, Fender Mustang IV 212. Do you think if I purchase a 5150 MXR pedal, that would give me a good tone to work with? I find the amp lacks a good distortion. Yes. I don't know that amp 100%. I haven't played that one, but I'm going to say yes right now. An uneducated answer, but I still feel comfortable saying that. And I just had the topic the other night in our live hangout. We were talking about EVH on a budget. And yes, I think for sure that would be fine as long as that amp gets a good clean tone. It sounds just like the 5153 Blue channel. Get that pedal for sure. Get it from the VanHalenStore.com if you can. They have the best price on it. And it sounds just like the amplifier. I recommend, like I do even on the amplifier, crank the living heck out of the mids, put the mids at about the 3 o'clock position or higher, and it will sound great. So I really hope that answers your question, Sinner. It's a great pedal, and it'll sound good with that amp. It'll sound good with a PV Bandit. It'll sound good with just about anything, solid state or tube. Tube obviously better, but on a budget, solid state stuff, not a problem. So you're seeing the photo still going by here. There was one particular photo, if I see it, I'll point it out. It was really cool. I was mentioning to Ed, he was going to grab a guitar pick, and I kind of made the symbol of, hey, throw me a pick. And he was grabbing a pick, and he was going to toss it to me. And then he had to catch a note. Like basically, it was a part where he had to jump, be more focused on the song. And he went away from the mic stand with the picks. And I was that close to getting one of his picks, which would have been very cool. In hindsight, looking back now too, I might have missed the pick and dropped a camera, or actually, I probably would have dropped my camera and sacrificed a camera for a personally used Eddie guitar pick. But it was a phenomenal night, and I just thought I would share these photos today because it is a year to the day, and it was one of two. It was 2 nights that they played in Canada. I saw both nights. August 5th, 2 nights previous to this one, was in London, Ontario, and the London, Ontario show wasn't their best show, and it certainly wasn't their fault. It was the first time for a concert of this magnitude held by the Western Fairgrounds, outside venues, kind of a smaller stage than they're used to. And the production, if I could give you an example, it was almost like it was a rented PA from a small guitar shop, and then you put Van Halen through it, and you can imagine what's going to happen there. It's like putting it's like a race car driver in a little Chevette, and he's going to blow the engine in it. That's basically what Van Halen did. Not a fault to theirs at all. So I was supposed to take photos for that one, and I was bumped because I had someone from the same company I was working for arrive before me, and he ended up stealing my credentials. So I got bumped from that one, but I ended up shooting for my own company, Design 39 Media, on the 7th, which was great, a better venue too. Michael Smith is saying, I saw them here in Denver last year and 2012 here. I took a bunch of pictures in 2012. I'll send a few to you via Facebook if you like. Yeah, for sure. And post those over on my on the EVH Gear Discussion Facebook page as well too, facebook.com/EVH Gear Discussion. You guys can look at these photos, all the ones that you're seeing. I'm going to jump back to the live webcam here now. Just bear with me. Okay, hi guys, I'm back. You can see some of those photos in better detail, and they're not zooming by every 2 seconds. Go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/EVH Gear Discussion, or you can go to my website, which also has a story about the night, which is kind of nice. It's nice to read the story, and put the pictures to the words, and maybe my story will put you there in that moment. I'm hoping it'll be like that for you. The website is ericbroadbent.com. If you scroll down towards the very bottom of the website, you'll see Eric's live concert photography or something of that nature, and it'll take you right to the story. It's pretty cool. All right, so I'm just going to have a little bit of fun here and see what the guitar sounds like. Johnny Bean, hey Johnny, thanks for watching, and I really appreciate the comment on the photos. It's really neat. A couple of people were asking me a few days ago, like, "Oh, where'd you get those photos out on my wall?" And you'll see them in some of my other videos, maybe the behind the scenes video. And it's really cool. Like we've all had cool Van Halen posters, and it's neat to have your own. It's neat to remember that you were there. Every time I look at the photo, I feel like I'm back in that moment, and I feel kind of like that 12-year-old kid, just fanboy, whatever you want to call it. It was just a lot of fun, and they turned out really well too. So Johnny is saying, Eric, any reason Eddie doesn't do the 316 at the beginning of his solo? Something to do with Sammy maybe? No, I don't think so. I think it's just it's done that for so long. It's evolution, I think. It's just one of those things where he's got to mix it up a little bit, and even most of his solo is still the same today. Another reason why he does it so well, he can do it in his sleep. But I think it's just mixing things up a little bit. You're starting to see him do a lot more things now with the kill switch and the octave pedal. I kind of like that. That's pretty neat. It's more noises, end of the world kind of sounds than it is actually notes. But hey, it's pretty cool. Good old buddy Mario is saying, yeah, dude, what a great show. I'll never forget it. Yeah, that's where we met. And we didn't technically meet there, but we met after the fact, and we knew we were there. Another friend I've met, another Canadian friend, is Brad Peddle. And it was really neat. Through these photos, remember we were talking about the photos I think I was maybe on one of Johnny Bean's hangouts one night. And we're talking, the concert and talking photos. And there's a couple shots that you might have seen in that gallery that just went by a few minutes ago. I'll flip back to it for a second. I'll keep talking. You might see it here where it was some panoramic shots of the crowd. and I saw this one guy who was sitting about 3-4 rows back, and he looked familiar, had like mustache, whatever. And I was like, that guy looks familiar. And going back to the photos, it turns out it's Brad Peddle and his wife. They're at the show. And so Brad was a guest on one of the hangouts. I'm just seeing if it'll come up to it. It may or may not. Hopefully it does, because it'll be nice to segue here. Brad was in one of the hangouts. He was either on my channel or he was on Johnny Bean's. And I said, dude, were you at the Van Halen concert, such and such, August 7th? Yep. I said, I think I have a photo of you. And sure enough, I look in the crowd. There he is. So I ended up giving him a nice high quality unwatermarked version so he could have and get it blown up, because you don't always get that opportunity. I'll let these go by a couple more minutes here. We'll just see if we see him here. It was pretty cool. And I know he was thankful, and like people like Mario and Brad got to be friends after the show. And I mean, long after, we've been talking every day. And have them on our channel, all that kind of good stuff. It's fun how Van Halen brings us all together from every point of the globe, whether we can speak the language or not of each of our friends. The music brings us all together for sure. I've got a couple of people that can't speak a word of English, and they'll translate and they'll put their Spanish on my wall. I'll translate it, and I try to translate back to them just so we can just kind of have a bit of a conversation. But it does speak volumes. Okay, so we're probably not going to see it, so I'm going to jump back. We'll just let it go maybe one more here. All right, we're not going to get there in random order here as well, too. Okay, so we're back. So I'm just going to have some fun. Just try for a second. And Mario says, yeah, I met Brad and his wife in the VIP line. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, now this might get a little noisy here. Not too bad. I'll roll some of the volume up. Tell me if you guys can hear this, all right? I'm going to just, you're in my ears here, so let me know. How does that sound for volume? If anyone's in the comments here, let me know how that's coming through. Is that decent? Too loud? Not too loud? Johnny Bean saying yes, as in too loud. Question there from Shivan Sharma. Is this live? This is live. right, there you go. There's some of the live guitar sound. Hopefully that sounded okay. Johnny Bean live from Canada. Thanks, Johnny. We got Mario JB, what's up? And did you say evhstore.com? No, that would be vanhalenstore.com. We're talking about the EVH 5150 Overdrive. So check that out at the vanhalenstore.com. Go into EVH gear, and then you'll see it there as well. So just check to see any more comments here. So today was really I had nothing on the agenda other than just kind of addressing some comments. I was going to have a hangout this morning with a buddy, and unfortunately had someone pass away in the family, not the immediate family, so we postponed that for a later day, obviously. I tended to try to make an itinerary for all my shows, and today was just kind of fun. I was building a website today. I'm actually had my services kind of contracted from another developer. I have that happen a lot, and he resells my services, and I was having a nightmare time with this website. And it was very, very nice to take a break from that and just do some guitar playing. Obviously, my release, to just jam and have some fun. And like I said earlier, I don't practice that much. I barely practice at all. This is practice for me, so hope you guys don't mind sitting in on a practice session. But I'm thankful to have you guys watching. We only have a few people watching. Michael says your guitar tone is sweet. Thank you very much. I'm going to just go back. I'm going to switch that channel to the blue channel, and because I'm on the red channel right now on the EVH 5153 Lunchbox, I'll give you a bit of a tone sample what it sounds like with the blue channel. So in the meantime, I'll just throw it on and be right back. I will be right with you.
Thank you for watching EVH Gear Discussion. We'll be right back. Please be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching EVH Gear Discussion. We'll be right back. Please be sure to subscribe.
And I'm back. Thanks to the magic technology of bumpers. Another thing I forgot to talk about, this is something I do want to talk about. This guitar here is going to be playable very, very soon. Very soon. Looks a little odd because it's missing a tremolo. I've got one coming. I've got a Floyd Rose original German-made tremolo coming from David Nesdal. And I've been thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this. First of all, thank you, David, for sending me that. It should be here any day this week. And I've also got some goodies coming from fu-tone.com as well, too. So I was going to put the original Floyd on here. But what I'm doing, my mind is made up, I'm not going to put it on here. I'm going to put the Floyd that's on my standard, this one right here. This Floyd came off of that guitar. So I'm going to put this Floyd back on that guitar. It's only going to be a matter of minutes to do it. Now, it's got all the fu-tone upgrades. It's got the stainless steel blocks. It's got the titanium string lock blocks, all that kind of stuff. Got the big brass block on the back. See that? Okay, and it's also got a trem stopper. So I'm putting this trem on that guitar, and because this now is becoming my main guitar, strange enough being the cheapest guitar I own, but also my main guitar, the best playing guitar, I'm hot rodding this one. This one's going to be continued to be hot rodded. I've also got new tuners coming from Stu Mac. They're the Perloid ones, like these ones here, if you can see those. It'll look very nice on this guitar, so I'm chroming it right out. So any given day this week, I'll have those parts in, both from David Nesdal and from fu-tone. I'll have both these guitars playing like $1 million again. I can't wait. Well, this one plays like $1 million now, but I miss that baby there. It's kind of robbing from Peter to pay Paul and things like that, but it's all good. So a couple questions here too. I'm going to try to address them as well. Michael Smith, I love these spontaneous live hangouts. Great and fun surprises for the day. Thank you very much. I mean, obviously, you could probably have a few more people watching if I planned them a bit more. I think I only gave people about an hour's notice, but it really wasn't planned. It was just for me to have some fun today and kind of get away from building websites for a couple hours. I have to go out and cut grass after this, so that's going to be even more fun. Still more fun than sometimes than building websites. Let me see. Eric, do you have any plans to review the new EVH 34 amp soon? And yes, for sure. I'm way behind on that one. Just catching up on some stuff with EVH, and I will have that plus some other goodies coming from them very soon. Wink, wink. To show you on that, as well as some stuff they're giving me for a contest giveaway as well too. So be watching for that. All Rocker 44. Do you have a video on how to install and set up a Floyd Rose just for fun? I don't myself, but I will do one. As a matter of fact, I'm going to, when I take these two guitars apart again, to switch the tremolos. I'll film that and I'll show you how simple it is. It's very, very simple. One thing I tend to be kind of dangerous with when I have to get the string puller tool. Adam sells them at fu-tone.com. I just tend to use wire cutters, which is, you got to be careful, or pliers. And it's hard sometimes pulling those with wire cutters or pliers, because I've slipped on a few guitars and gouged the living crap out of the back of the guitar. So that's my only flaw when it comes to building stuff. And I think I've talked about this a few times in some of my hangouts. I rush everything. When it comes to building guitars, that's why I don't stripe guitars anymore and things like that. I want to have everything done in 10 minutes. I just got to kind of slow my roll sometimes and kind of roll with it. So I'll do a video on that for sure. And I'll show you. It's very, very easy. Intonating the guitar can be a little trickier, but after you've done a whole bunch of Floyds, you can almost guesstimate where it's going to be and be pretty darn close. Shivam Sharma, out of all your production guitars at EVH, which one is your personal favorite? This one right here. And what inspired this whole thing was getting one for my son, and we hung it up on the hanger in his wall in his room, and he'd ask me to come up to watch video games or things like that. And every time I went up, I would always grab his guitar off the wall, and I would just noodle with it acoustically while I was watching him, and I could not put that guitar down. So then I said, I got to get another one. I got one for myself, hot rodded it. And if you haven't seen my videos on my page, check out the one where it's called the EVH Wolfgang Transparent Purple Burst Shootout. And we take the stock one, which is, you might even be able to see, I got another one back there somewhere. There's one back there on the rack. And then we take this one that's been hot rodded, and I do an acoustic test, I do an electric test, clean and distorted, and it is absolutely amazing, the tone after it's been upgraded. But this is my main guitar. Second favorite of my production guitars of EVH would be the EVH stripes back there. Back there. There it is, the black and white stripe back there. So hard doing the hokey pokey when you're doing backwards here, but it's back there on the stand next to the EVH boxes. I love that guitar. The radius on the neck is different. Like it feels a lot wider. It is wider on the Stripe series than the Wolfgang. The Wolfgang's got more of a nicer, closer to a C shape. Very comfortable. Not that guitar is not. It's just, it's different, and you feel it. It's a little bit lighter too. It will be heavier once I upgrade it with the FU Tone stuff, but that's my second favorite guitar. My third favorite guitar would be the Japanese Special that I just showed you a moment ago. Obviously, it's not playable now, but it would be my third favorite. From there, I would go into probably my PV USA Wolfgang, the standard one, the black one. You've seen some of that with some of the chrome hardware on it. Also, my PV USA Special. It's been kind of colored, painted by the kids. It's like a cartoon model. It's very, very cool. And I'm upgrading that one very, very soon, too. Then we go down the line to the PRS and to the Yamahas and things like that. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. All Rocker 44, what size is your block and what does the trem stopper do? The block is a 37L shape. I'll see if I can show that. Okay. And it's got a bit of an L shape to it. And what the trem stopper does, the trem stopper serves several purposes. First of all, it's about a 5-minute installation, which is really, really cool. A trem stopper, if you have a floating bridge like an Ibanez Edge or anything like that, or even a Floyd Rose where you can actually pull backwards on the trem, it stops it. You could reef on the trem backwards and it will not go backwards. So and I needed it for this guitar. If you go back and research some of my older videos as well too, not too old, a few months back, I was having problems with the tuning stability with this guitar once I put on the D-tuner. And we diagnosed everything till the cows came home. I had probably 50 different people, some of them even on this hangout or on this in the chat right now, giving me comments and feedback and suggestions. Every single one of the suggestions that they gave me were valid, good suggestions that we should try, and we tried them. One of the last options I resorted to was switching the tremolo. It came with I think I have it here. Yeah, it came with the Floyd Rose Special, the black. I used to call it black chrome, but I think they call it black nickel. So it's a much softer metal. They're not the best tremolos, but they'll get you by. For someone having their first Floyd Rose, there's nothing wrong with them. They're better than the Floyd Rose 2s and things like that, but they're not as good as the German ones. So I said, you know what, let's swap the trem. I did that, and then it still wasn't 100%. So I said to Adam at FU Tone, I said, hey, I'm just thinking, what about a trem stopper? My idea was to create a new 0.0, if that makes any sense, or a balance like on a teeter-totter. I wanted to raise my bridge forward, lean it forward just a millimeter, probably about the size of a guitar pick underneath of it. Bring it forward, put the trem stopper there, so now there's nothing, it's not touching the body, which it should be. It should touch the body, but those fine tuner tension plates that are underneath each one of the fine tuners, when you would engage or disengage the D-tuner, it would shift, just millimeters. Probably most people wouldn't hear this. I was hearing it, and it was driving me absolutely crazy. To me, it was about a quarter of a tone in note difference. If I can play a note, okay, so it was almost like this. Hear that? Just slightly flat. That's how that note was sounding when I would disengage the D-tuner. And I was going crazy. I went crazy over it and almost took the guitar and threw it in the garbage because I was that frustrated with it. Thanks to a lot of persistence and never giving up, a lot of feedback from all my friends, we come to the consensus, and we figured it out. So the trem stopper is around a $25 part, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. Look it up at fu-tone.com. Works really, really nice. You can, palm mute on the trem, and it's not going to go sharp at all. Even if sometimes if the Floyd is resting flat on the body, there is still a little tiny bit of give. So the trem stopper will stop that. And I mean, if you're one of those purists for, like Eddie, everything is connected is better tone. The trem stopper touches the brass block. The trem is bolted onto the body of the guitar. It's this whole kind of circle of a conduit. Everything is connected. So hopefully that answers your question in a very, very long answer. Sinner says, and speaking of Floyds, thanks to help of you and Dave, I now have a working Floyd in my 86 ESP. Thanks, guys. Fantastic. Now that's the one I think you sent me a picture of, if I'm not mistaken. And that's great. I figured that would work for you as well. And thank you, Dave, for addressing that as well too, as I tagged you in that post the other day. Michael Smith, are you still learning leaning towards the EVH lunchbox when you play? Yes. Can you see back there? If I tip my head, see the blue light back there? That is the lunchbox. That is my favorite. Did they say favorite amplifier of all times? It packs a lot of punch in a very small amplifier. So let's have a little listen to what it sounds like on the blue channel right now. I told you I was switching to the blue channel, and I've just been yapping like crazy, and I haven't let you hear it. That's probably what you want to do. More of it, less of me. Okay, let's try that. That's on the blue channel, and I've got I keep my gain somewhat relaxed on that. I think the gain is probably around the 12 o'clock position. But what I do on that is I crank the mids. I would, if I had my way when it comes to any amplifier, especially the EVH series, even the PV5150s, crank those mids to 3 or 4 o'clock and take the knob right off, so you never have to adjust it again. Mids can make or break your sound. I learned that technique from, I worked in a music store years ago, and one of the guys that owned the store, he was also a professional sound technician, and it was some of my best sound I've ever had playing in a band. He was the sound man. And one day we're playing a club, and he's saying, turn up, turn down, whatever like this, and then he'd come to the stage, he just says, excuse me for a minute. He goes over, and my mids were scooped, like they were probably about the 9 o'clock position. He goes, whoosh, he turned it up. I think he probably turned it full blast, and I was like, oh my God, where'd this tone come from? And that was 15 years ago, and ever since that, I've never touched it. And with this amplifier, to answer your question, Michael, is the lunchbox. If I was to do a one-word review of my gear or any gear, the review on this one would be mids. The amplifier just sings with mids. The only thing that kind of is a drag about it, you can't get a good clean tone out of it. I mean, I can back my volume off a little bit. Still not clean. So you really can't get clean out of that. You can't even use the MXR 5150 overdrive with it because you can't get a clean tone. So if you want a nice lead rhythm and distortion channel, this is your amplifier. If not, go back to the 5150 300 watt or the 50 watt, and so on and so forth. Sinner says, between this channel and Johnny Bean's channel, I have learned a lot. Just wanted to thank you guys. And the kid vanished. I'll be back. So anyways, that is very nice to hear. And that's what Johnny and we talk about all the time, and Rob and Dave and all those guys that tend to do this together. we never profess to know it all. I never profess to know it all. In all my years of sales, being a salesperson, and I've sold everything from guitars to furniture to, about the only thing I haven't sold as a salesperson in my life is cars, used cars. But my theory is always be honest. I don't sell you something you don't need, and if I don't have the answer to something, even when someone asks me about an EVH gear product, I do not know all the answers. If I don't know, I either text my guys at EVH, I'll talk to Johnny Bean and these guys. We'll have a round table. None of us know all the answers, and we share our wealth with everybody else. And when we learn, we recognize who it came from as well too. So it's very, very flattering to hear that you're learning something from our channels, and I thank you very much for that comment. And Johnny Bean, yeah, thank you very much, Cinder. It's fun talking about and sharing this stuff for sure. And Johnny, yeah, we have a great time talking about this stuff. It's a lot of fun. And Cinder, it's a blast, man. That, and I dig the chicken videos. Oh yeah, because he has chickens. That's right. I'll have to show you some of my rabbits. We don't have rabbit pets, but they tend to like our place probably because we have an abundance of vegetables growing in the backyard. So yeah, I'll show you some of the rabbit videos. Don't have them as a pet yet. So I'll do a couple more little riffs on here, and I think we'll probably wrap her up as a day. I just appreciate you guys. I'm surely there's better things for you to be doing on a Sunday afternoon than watching my show. But hey, I'm very, very thankful, and keep those subscribers coming, hopefully. I'll show you. I plan on doing a couple of videos in the very near future on some of my music, because the only thing I can do really good is my own music. I like to try to play the Van Halen stuff, but as we always say, there's only one Eddie Van Halen. No one can do it like he can. I just like to show my little tributes to it. I'll just play a couple of my riffs. If you go to my SoundCloud later on, you can hear all these songs in their entirety. It's soundcloud.com/Eric Broadbent Solo. If you happen to go to soundcloud.com/Eric Broadbent, that's believe it or not, another Canadian artist named Eric Broadbent. I think he's more into techno and stuff like that. Mine is Eric Broadbent Solo. You can hear a lot of my music. The one riff that you've probably heard me play a million times, actually it's my intro to my channel, the one that goes like this. That's actually called Loaded Gun, and that was featured in an action movie. I had two of my songs featured in an action movie called A Case of Deceit. And we got to go down to Toronto on the big screen, see the movie on the big screen, and waiting for that magic moment where my tunes were featured in the movie. One was in a really cool scene in the bar, and then one, I was thinking the producers, the writers of the movie had said, we're going to use both your songs. I had no idea where they were going to be. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the movie's just about to end, and only one song was played. So, I was kind of bummed. I'm still very, very thankful having your song in an actual movie. And all of a sudden, the opening credits, or the ending credits started to roll. And the minute you saw the first credit, my song, this beautiful song called Pass You By, hard to play clean, but it's really clean, and it was a very, really cool magic moment. It was so very cool. I got goosebumps right now, actually, just reliving it. It was pretty darn cool. All those tunes can be featured on my, can be heard on my SoundCloud. So I'll play a couple of the riffs. One on our first album called Silence. There's a song called, actually it is called Silence. I have to drop down to D for that. A little bit of adjustment, and it was kind of inspired by Tool. We were kind of influenced by Tool for this one. So So that was a fun one. And we used to make a lot of cool samples for intros to our songs. And I had Alan Parsons Project, and I think the song was called Serious, if that's correct. Johnny's the walking thesaurus of music. I think it was called Sirius, and they would play that a lot of the basketball games. And I used that with a combination of General Patton's "Pump Up" speech for war, or whatever, and that was leading into that song. So that was kind of neat. It was in the same key as well too, so it was very neat how we'd segue into that. Michael Smith says, one last question: are you recording any of your own music, and if so, any plans on putting them out for all to enjoy? Not recording any right now. I did 2 albums with the band Finding Core. As a matter of fact, conveniently, one of my old band shirts, Finding Core. I think Johnny has one of those guitar picks. FindingCore.com. Oh, one of two picks left from that era. I'm not recording anything right now. I have some ideas on the computer, and the only thing I'm going to be doing on the computer, I'm working with Charlie Stinchcombe over in the United Kingdom there, over in London, and we're working on a really cool tune together. We've been talking about doing this for absolutely forever, and one day I just come up with a riff that I really, really liked. I sent it to him, and he liked it. He took it and put his own spin on it and made it even better. So we're going to collaborate on that, and we're both going to be we're going to film our parts, across the world. He's going to do his part over there filming it. I'm going to do mine and record myself doing my part, and we'll share that with you. It'll be pretty cool. So not recording anything else. You can download all my stuff on SoundCloud, have at it, and have fun with it. There was a big difference in direction between the Silence album, which was in 2005, and then the 5210 album that we did in around 2000. Well, 5210. It was 2010. There we go. I'm an idiot sometimes. It's on there. It's a lot heavier. There's actually some really cool riffs on that one as well too. I did some drop tuning on that one. There's one hit. Let me crank this up a little bit. 1 second. That's from that record as well too. There's a lot of heavier stuff on that record. If you check that one out, you might like that. But Silence is really cool too. There's some ballads on there and some really cool stuff. There's one track on the Silence album. It's called In the Sun, and it kind of goes like this. And I was actually using a line 6 guitar to simulate a sitar. There's one part in the song, so this is kind of the main structure of the chorus. But there's a really cool breakdown in the middle of it, and I'll try to get a little bit of a cleaner tone, and it is simulated as a sitar, so if you can picture this riff played with a sitar, it was pretty neat. And one more time. And then a really cheesy little lead over top. It was kind of like. Oh. So it just kind of mimicked the melody. But the sitar part was really cool. It was a line 6. Do they call it a Variac? No, I was going to say Variac. No, that's Variax. Variax, I think, is what it was called. It was a black, had a kind of pearloid pickguard on it. And it's kind of neat. I don't like modeling guitars by any means, but it was cool and gave me that kind of effect. Mike Krause, thanks, Mike. He says some nice riffs. And Michael Smith says, I forgot about your collaboration with Charlie. He's a guitar beast. Can't wait to hear the final product. Yeah, Charlie's been a real inspiration for me on the guitar. There's not a lot of guitar players today that come out with doing something that hasn't been done before a million times. I'm one of those guys too. Everything I do has kind of been done before. I tried to throw my own spin on a few things, but I needed a source of inspiration to come across him, and we've become very, very good friends overnight. and we chat almost daily. We bounce ideas about life and music and work and all those kind of things off of one another. And that, in a nutshell, plus having him as a great guitar player, has been a real inspiration in my life at a much needed point in my career. Johnny says, I used to have an old Dan Electro sitar from the 60s. I wish I still had it. That would be very, very cool. That'd be really neat. It'd be so neat to sparkle those tones over on a record for sure. Very, very nice. And Michael's saying to Johnny, I'm going to see the new Ghostbusters movie this weekend because of your review. Oh, very cool. I haven't seen it yet myself. And Mike Krause, JB, and Eric, thanks for all the cool guitar content and loving it. You're very welcome. And I know I can speak for Johnny as well, too, that, he loves having the feedback and having you watching the shows. It's very, very rewarding. I've had questions. People a lot of times will say to me, they'll say, do you miss playing live? Do you miss the band thing? And I'll tell you what it's like if you care to know. Back in the day, the band was everything to me. And the last band I was in, I compared every other band I'd ever been in my life and any possible future bands to the band I was in. We had a lot of revolving members come and go. It was almost like Spinal Tap, except none of our drummers exploded. I think maybe one did. But anyways, it got to the point where the attendance was getting lower to the shows. And the internet was starting to ruin live music as well. There's in Canada, the smoking bylaws came in where you couldn't smoke in the bars anymore. So people can't smoke in the bars. They don't want to come out and drink. It's just everything. There's so many ducks in the row that were starting to ruin the live show and my feel for it. So long story short, we started this band in 2000. The first incarnation of it was great. Todd Lenover was the singer. He was the songwriter, the main songwriter, and one of the best songwriters I've ever worked with in my life. That was the best version of the band. We went through several different versions, and the later part of the year of the era of the band, around the 2008-ish, we had some good stuff going. We got our songs in the movies. That was very, very cool. But it got down to the point where we had a couple new younger members, and this is not saying anything bad about the members at all. They're good musicians in their own right, but totally. It wasn't, and it's no slam to them, but they had stars in their eyes. We were going to be famous overnight, and I didn't want to, break their hearts and say, guys, it's not going to happen. But I was the realist, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I just, okay, guys, let's do our shows. Let's not say every show that we're going to do is going to be like the second coming. It's going to be the best thing ever since sliced bread. That's not the case. The more you went into a show thinking it's going to be the best show, it sucked. And the less expectations you put on a show, it seemed like it was a good one, So it's one of those catch-22s. And I remember always saying if the band ever became like work, I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I'm not going to lie, there's days I would call in sick to not go to band practice. Like, guys, sorry, I got a sore throat. I busted my finger. I don't know whatever, any kind of excuse under the sun, because I didn't want to go to band practice because it was work. Now, some of the music was cool. And then one day, I won't say who it was, but one of the members of the band, and I was the last remaining member of the band, and they text me, hey, band practice on tonight. And I had one of those moments where your life flashes in front of your eyes, and it wasn't all the good stories. It was all the horror of bands. Now, everyone has their horror stories, and I've even dedicated some stories to that on the Hangouts. Johnny's done one too, the Friday the 13th horror stories. Look that one up on both our channels. I had this flash go by in my eyes. So coming home in the morning after driving, 8 hours to a gig way up north, coming home, being sweating, stinky, a van full of gear, and you have to go to work in an hour, sometimes not seeing the kids. You're looking like you're just death warmed over. In a lot of cases, playing original music, you're lucky to get enough money for the band to share a sandwich or a coffee. So it was killing yourself for the labor of love was gone. It was now killing yourself for nothing. And so I just texted the guy back in the band and said, sorry, no band practice tonight. And matter of fact, watch for an email where I need to address some things. Send off an email and basically pulled the life support on the band and never looked back. So yeah, I do miss it sometimes, and I'm sure I'm going to hook up with some garage guys and just do some fun and do some covers or maybe just write a couple songs. But I don't miss the live thing. And to be 100% completely honest, I get more people coming to the YouTube shows. It's here in my studio, in my office, than I ever did coming to my other shows on the tail end of the band. I'm not killing myself doing it. I have cool refreshments, waiting on tap for me. I don't kill myself. I can hit the power button here, say thank you, good night, and cheers, and subscribe, and then go out and do what else I have to do. And I'm in my own house. I don't have to pack up my guitars. I don't have to pick up my gear. So it's a win-win for me. But that's how I look at the whole playing live thing, and I do get asked that a lot. Michael Smith says, breaking through in the music industry is an amazingly hard thing to do. There are thousands of great musicians who never get discovered. That's very, very true. And this might sound totally, totally ridiculous, but I'm glad I never broke through. I'm glad I never got discovered, because it might have changed my life for things in ways that I would not be happy with. I mean, be careful what you wish for, right? The old cliche. I mean, I could be, sometimes you get these producers and things like that. Hey, come on, don't worry about your other guys. Don't worry about your family. Come with me and I'm going to make you a star, son. And those kind of things. And that's the evil side of the business. And you got to remember, it is a business. It's not a friendship. It's not a fun thing. It's a business. And they're going to pimp you out until the cows come home to milk every dollar they can out of you. So I get to do what I love doing now. In some cases, I'm reciprocated with some sponsorships here and there, and it's just nice ways to, continue playing gear that I like and I talk about, or, in case like when I work with the Van Halen store, they furnish me with, wearables and things like that. So I get to show the shoes and things like that. So that's way better than the gigs getting enough to buy a Tim Hortons sandwich and a coffee. So that's what I love about it, and it is very hard. Sinner is saying, a couple more questions here, and I'm going to let you guys go because I know you guys are probably extremely bored of me. But Sinner says, if you could do one modification to an EVH Stripe series, what would it be and why? Okay. I know I sound like a broken record when I say the FU tone stuff, but the EVH Stripe at the back there right now, the black and white one, I am going to do that exact modification. I'm going to add in the brass block. I'm doing all the titanium stuff. I'm doing the titanium string lock blocks. I'm doing the stainless steel nut clamps. I'm doing pretty much what I call the default upgrade kit. It already has a detune on it, so you don't need to detune it. I don't anticipate putting a trem stopper on it. So I think I discussed this in a video the other night. It's around $160 US from fu-tone.com, and you can get the standard upgrade kit. And I have links on my channel and on my website to links to all those parts I'm talking about. So for $160 upgrade, there you go. I can't think of a single other thing I would do, Sinner, to upgrade those guitars. They really don't need it, but it's a nice little EQ tweak to that guitar. So that's what I would do. Very, very good question. And, that's about the only thing I could think of doing on those guitars. Now, on another similar note, if we're talking like some of the Wolfgangs, the specials, or the standards or things like that, if you're not into having the tone knob, a lot of the guys I talk to don't really use the tone knob, and you want to put in a kill switch. Like I have my kill switch. Matter of fact, it lights up too, by the way. Let's see if I can show you that. Okay, so it lights up. It doesn't have to be lit up to work. I thought it did when I first got it. Some people I would say, pull the tone knob out and put in a kill switch where the tone knob is. That'd be kind of cool. Or maybe just bypass the tone knob altogether if you want. I like the tone knob. I use it a fair amount. But that's about the only thing I could say for modification. Maybe one other thing. I have addressed this in some videos. Cosmetics. I did an entire hangout just addressing cosmetics. I'm going to, along with some of the other things I talked about on this guitar, I'm putting chrome pickup rings on this guitar. Metal ones. After talking with Johnny, we were talking about plastic and metal, and he was showing me some metal ones he has, and metal wins for sure. I'm going to put metal pickup rings on here. They're going to do nothing to hold the pickups. They're just for cosmetics. So that's going to look nice. So that's an upgrade. So guys, I think that is pretty much it. I've made a few notes, and I think I've addressed everything. I just want to thank you guys for checking out on Sunday afternoon, spending it looks like about an hour and 2 minutes with me. So I'm very honored to keep your attention that long. And I'm thrilled. I love hearing the feedback I get from you guys through email, through comments on Facebook, and on YouTube here as well. I can't thank you enough. I love doing this for you guys. And if you have any buddies that you haven't shown my channel to yet, tell them about my channel. I do stuff from the road sometimes in the Camaro. Actually had a nice drive on the highway in that today. Beautiful day. Recommend my channel to them. I'd love to talk gear with them. If I don't have an answer for them, like I've always said, or if they ask me a gear question, I will find out through my network of friends and connections. Okay, play an outro 2 before you go. All right, so 2. He said it's from Michael. All right, let me see what I can do here for you. Let's see what I can do here for you. Let's try this. Tuning's a little bit rough. That's on the blue channel, so the gain's lacking a little bit. All right, so Michael, fun time, keeping rocking out, everyone. And Bill Camporis. All right, thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm just going to jump out to my outro here, and thank you once again. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends. And I'll let little Eric take it away. Cheers.
My name is Eric, and I'm playing Wolfgang guitar.